Welcome in to 410 Sports Talk again. I'm James Haskell, and this is my co-host, Glenn Martin. We're really excited to talk to you guys today about free agency for the Baltimore Ravens, your Baltimore Ravens. A lot of things have been going on in the news, and we figured this is a good time to put something out because, as you guys know, stuff is about to hit the fan. Dominoes are about to fall within a day's time period, a little over 24 hours. Monday, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, is when the legal tampering period opens. So it's when we'll start to see things to move. So we're really excited to get in and talk about it. What we decided to do with this one was we're going to get into some high level free agency guys, and then also some guys that might not be on your radar. We'll dig a little deeper because that's what the Ravens tend to do. They dig a little deeper and they find those diamonds in the rough. So we're trying to do the same thing. And based on their salary cap, we're going to kind of put together some scenarios, and we want to know what you guys think of our scenarios. So let's get right into it. Let's dig right into some salary cap details. As much information as you could glean, Glenn, give us an overview of at least how much salary cap you think we're working with. And then I know that the rookie hit is like 7.8, but including that, what do you think we're working with as far as available money to us to go out and spend on the open market?
Okay, so currently they have basically 21.5 million in cap space. Now, we saw that the CBA just got agreed to this morning, and they mentioned a $10 million increase to the cap number. So that number may go up, I believe, to 31.5. Is that if that now the update, the website I have in front of me, I don't think has been updated as of this morning. So I believe their new availability will be 31.5 million in cap space. So certainly, they don't have the most money, but they certainly have more than we can remember in recent history. And of course, that comes with, that money is given to Eric DeCosta, who has certainly shown his value thus far as a general manager with countless good pickups. And that, of course, was bolstered this morning by him trading for Calais Campbell for the 5th-round pick we acquired from Minnesota for Kerry Vedvik. So
now I just want to say one thing. As far as the salary cap calculations, our guy Calais Campbell, the newest member of the team, is a $15 million cap hit.
So that's certainly going to take away. So if that $15 million cap hit, now we're down to what, 16.5 mil,
and then take that down another 7.8
for drafts.
Right?
So now you're basically down to what, about 9 mil?
Yeah, you're down to 8.7 million. Yeah.
Okay, so now we see that number is already dwindling, but
got to go bargain shopping.
Yeah, I mean, look, getting a guy like Calais certainly fills a pretty big need with pass rush. I mean, interior pass rush, we've said it here many times, is the most disruptive form because guys like Tom Brady are so talented, although he's not fleet of foot, so talented in stepping up into that pocket where if you have edge rushers coming around the outside, unless they can bend that edge quickly, dip their shoulder and get into the pocket, they can oftentimes be pushed around the outside, and that pocket quarterback can step up into the safety of that pocket and still have plenty of time to throw. So now that you have interior pass rush coming from Calais Campbell, it only helps the edge rushers, like we see with Judon being just now tagged yesterday. It only helps them guys because there is nowhere to step up for that quarterback to avoid the edge rusher. So Calais Campbell certainly helps a lot from the pass rush standpoint, but let's get into some other positions that we know that they need. So
yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to name my 3 positions that I figured that are of most need in my mind that I want to see addressed in free agency in some way, shape, or form. And then why don't you give me yours? Does that work?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so my this is not in order of priority, but
that's
my 3 positions are 1 wide receiver, 2 interior offensive linemen, and then 3 inside linebackers.
Well, then we might as well just have the same because that's the 3 positions I have. So
well, great minds think alike, and we did this separately, folks. That was the idea behind this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was like, oh, he's gonna have the exact. But I mean, I guess anyone can see what the needs are for the Ravens. So I'm sure most of the people watching are going to have the exact same list. But go ahead.
No, so based on those calculations, now with Calais Campbell in place, you start to think about, okay, how are we going to act, or how are we going to lean in the draft? You start to think about those other things, or how are we going to prepare for the draft via free agency? There's a lot of things that go into this calculation. Is the draft offense heavy, defense heavy, etc. But if we're focusing just on free agency as a part of that offseason program and trying to fill in as many holes as possible, I'm going to throw a couple names out there that I think we could potentially get. Wide receiver, I have two of them, and one of them you might fall out of your chair.
Oh, no.
But
If you say Rashad Perryman, I'm leaving.
No, definitely not. Sorry, Brashad. But number one, and he doesn't fit the profile of like a big physical guy, but I like Randall Cobb as far as value goes. Okay. I think that you can get him from anywhere from 4 to 6 million, maybe I don't know. I mean, maybe like 3.84. I don't know, but I feel like his market value is in that 4 to 6 million range, which could be another target for Lamar up the seam, which, look, we got to play Lamar's strengths. He's never going to – I mean, not saying he's never going to be, but he's not necessarily the best outside the numbers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's bad outside the numbers. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Lamar's bad at anything. But he is incredible at working the ball through various layers of the defense on the interior of the defense. So another interior guy in our case, I don't think can hurt as far as a wide receiver. The other name, and he's an outside guy, and he's a physical guy, and he's only $650,000 if we give him a vet minimum, is Dez Bryant.
Oh, my gosh.
Is Dez Bryant.
Oh, my gosh.
Look, Dez Bryant has been working his butt off as far as social media goes. He looks like he's in really good shape. Now, he doesn't have pads on, but the dude looks explosive. He looks humbled is the biggest thing to me.
Do you have his age in front of you? Do you have him?
I can get to his age.
I'm just curious how old the guy is now because he is coming off of an Achilles. Is that correct?
He's 31. He's 31. He's coming off an Achilles. He's 31.
Okay.
But I really think that the Ravens have done this in the past where we've gotten guys in situations where that you get another year or two of that dog coming out, right? Like sometimes it's about timing. Where Steve Smith, I mean, do you remember that first year how much he wanted to prove his worth?
Yeah.
He's
pretty pissed about how he got let go of Carolina.
Right, and even from a linebacker, Daryl Smith, wasn't that his name a couple years ago? We had
the Jaguars, yep.
Same type feeling. I feel like maybe not as demonstrative as Steve was, but same type idea. Yeah, not many. That's a good point. But so I feel like it's the timing of it. I feel like it's good timing where that is a freaking steal as a bargain. I think he's going to block downfield. I think he's going to be a red zone guy, and he just wants to win at this point. I think he's been humbled and put in a situation where all he cares about is winning. So those are my guys as far as wide receiver goes, and that still leaves us a little bit of money, so we'll get back to that in a little bit. Who you got for wide receiver?
Sure. So for wide receiver, I'm going to start with a guy that we've seen in New England the past couple years, and his name is Philip Dorsett. And the reason don't give me that face. Here's what you need. Here's the reason why you need a guy like Philip Dorsett. What happens if in week 2 we see Hollywood Brown twist an ankle and he's going to miss 6 weeks due to a high ankle sprain? You need a guy who can take the top off the defense, a guy that we know he can fly. He ran a 4.33 coming out of college in the 40-yard dash. That's insanely fast. We cannot go into a season where if Marquise Brown is to get hurt, all we have is DeAnthony Thomas, who we just re-signed to a couple-year deal. We can't have him be our only burner.
Now, let me ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
What do you think his market value is? What do you think, his yearly salary is?
That's going to make a ton of money. He had 29 catches last year.
More or less than Cobb? Or about the same? Based on the fact that he's younger.
It's always tough to project because a lot of it's just, not what you're worth, but what people will pay for you.
Right.
He's certainly younger. He's only 27 years old. But he didn't have, if you look at his few years in New England, he didn't have that much success. He had 12 catches in 2017. He had 32 catches in 2018 and only 29 catches last year. But what he did have last year, he had 5 touchdowns and he had a lot of long catches. So, look, I'm not telling you to bring Philip Dorsett in. He's going to be your number one. I'm saying we bring Philip Dorsett in on a relatively team-friendly deal as a guy that can not only be an insurance policy in case Hollywood were to get hurt, but also to complement Hollywood, because we can't have just one guy that can scare you vertically. I think it's important to have multiple guys that can do similar things. So Philip Dorsett would be my, look, I'm not saying he's going to come and be number one, but for what he would bring to you, I think he's important to have.
So you're talking about value, and I don't disagree with you on that. Value-wise, there could be a lot of value in that signing based on the number, but there definitely could be. Okay.
And that's all I'm saying is good value. So my other guy, now look, you mentioned that the cap number is dwindling. When you get a guy like Calais Campbell and you tag Judon, if we decide to keep Judon, that number dwindles. So another value guy I think we could pick up is Geronimo Allison. We've seen him playing in Green Bay. If you keep making that face every time I say a name, I'm coming through that. I'm coming through this screen.
All right.
Look, you hit me with Dez Bryant and you're scoffing at Geronimo Allison. I mean, where do you get the balls is what I want to know. So let me just go over what Allison brings. He's 6'3", 202 pounds. So he certainly brings more size than we have currently on the roster outside of Miles Boykin, if you're looking at the outside. If you bring in Dorsett, you have Dorsett and Hollywood, two relatively slight guys. They're both about 5'9", 5'10", but certainly not, the physical presence that you need.
Like you see when I walk in the room.
Yeah, you ain't even smelling 5'10" there, Buster. Okay. All right. This guy, Geronimo Allison, he'd look down on me by just a little bit, but he's a big guy. He's a guy that can catch tough balls. He only had 34 catches for just under 300 yards last year. So it's a guy that's not going to make a ton of money. But I think he's a quality veteran who can bring what you need, a possession guy. He's got some size to him. He's not going to be a ton of money. I'm not going to hit you with a bunch of guys who are going to be expensive. I'm hitting you with guys I think we can actually afford.
Now, what as a wild card, played for us last year. You're talking about quality. What about Seth Roberts? What about bringing him back?
I wouldn't be angry about it, but I don't think Seth Roberts I don't think he has the upside that Allison has. That's my only thing. I think we've seen Seth Roberts and what he brings. Now, if they bring him back, I'm not going to be upset because he's shown that he can block down the field. But does he bring you a lot from a receiver standpoint?
Let me ask you this: if you take our two our two more value, like higher risk, higher reward type, I would say it's Geronimo and Dez, like they're your higher risk, higher reward type.
I wouldn't
guys.
put them in the same category, but go ahead.
Well, I want to ask which one, if you had to take one.
Between Allison and Dez?
Yeah.
Allison all day. We don't even know if Dez can play.
That's fair, but Allison has been the product of arguably the most talented quarterback that we've seen in our lifetime, maybe except for Tom Brady, right? And
well,
pure
talent, he's better than
Yeah, absolutely. Right. As a singular talent, he's definitely more talented. So how much does that weigh into your decision making?
Again, we're not bringing Allison in with expectations of becoming a 1 or a 2. He's a guy who we're expecting to come in as a 3 or 4. So in that sense, I don't mind it. But the thing about Dez is, when's the last time he caught a ball in the NFL? Do you have those numbers? Like, what year was it?
Well, yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, right?
I think it's been.
Well, he's missed 2 seasons.
So 3 years ago at least. And yeah, I don't know. Didn't he lead the league in drops last time he played?
I don't know, but I know Dez is a freak.
Yeah, he was. He certainly was. I don't know if he is anymore, but
I think he can still be a legitimate red zone threat.
Okay, I mean that. Okay, but look, Geronimo Allison is only 26 years old, still hasn't hit his physical prime. So that's my guy. But let's move on. I don't want to get weighed down in one position. So where are you going next?
All right, so let's go to linebackers, and I want to dig a little deep here. There are some names out there, and the 2 names I'm going to bring up, one, Blake Martinez from the Green Bay Packers, who was really the point guard of that good defense last year. I mean, that really good defense. But the problem is, if you look at his market value, he's estimated to make $11.5 million annually.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to give you another name who's right in the division, who they're letting be a free agent, Joe Schobert from the Browns. Also middle linebacker, Wisconsin kid, only 4 years in, only 26 years old. I really, really, really think that we can get him for significantly less than that. At least 4 to 4 million, maybe not, but at least 4 million, I would say, is a safe number less than Martinez, based on the fact that it's the Browns. They were a highly publicized team, but also a highly scrutinized team. It's not like people are praising their defense like they are to Green Bay. So
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a little bit of that. I don't think his stock is crazy high right now. So I think we can get a lot of value out of that and make the draft a little more fun and not have to take a inside linebacker early and go get Schobert. So those are my two guys, and that would be my target guy if we had some money to spend on him.
Be Schobert.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's fair. I think those are good, certainly good options. We've seen the Ravens plenty in the past pick up veteran interior linebackers that have come in and played well for us. You mentioned the one earlier, Daryl Smith, who played phenomenal for us. A couple names I want to mention. A couple guys that have had a ton of success, one recently and one a couple years ago. So the first one I'm going to go with is Christian Kirksey, who a couple seasons ago had 138 tackles in 2017. In 2016, 148 combined tackles. Now, last year he was limited to 2 games. The year before that, only 7 games. So certainly has injury concerns as of late. But that only means to me that we can bring him in on a very team-friendly deal and a guy that can just, if he doesn't show you what you need to see, certainly leading up to the season and off-season programming and preseason, then you could get rid of him. But a guy that has shown for 2 years he was up there in the league lead in tackles, which is what we need. And then the other guy who I'm more interested in, who I think we can pick up this year, who's coming off of a heck of a season, is De'Mondre Campbell, who's been with the Falcons for the last 4 seasons. He's only 26 years old, 6'3", 235. He had 129 tackles last year, as well as 2 interceptions and 2 sacks. So a guy that's he can run, the guy that's shown that he can certainly make tackles in the run game and also play decent coverage with getting a couple hands on interceptions, and just a guy that brings a veteran presence to the linebacker position. So those right now are the 2 guys that I look at, but I'm sure there's some guys. I wouldn't be shocked to see DaCosta pull a name that maybe is a little off the radar. I know Ogletree got cut recently. There's a lot of wondering, what he brings to the table. A guy like Tahir Whitehead, who got cut from the Raiders, who's certainly a quality veteran that you could look at. But some of this is going to come down to bringing them in, doing your physicals, working them out, seeing who can run, who can't run. A lot of times from a distance, we can't really see if the guy's got injury issues, if the guy's just got something that he's never going to be his old self again. A guy like Kirksey, I look at like, why is this guy? What's happened the last 2 seasons? Is that something that they can remedy once he gets here, or is it something that's going to linger forever and you got to not look at him? So we don't have the benefit of having those medicals, but yeah, there's a lot of guys in the linebacker position that they could plug in. That way we don't feel hamstrung going in the draft and we have to take a guy early.
Yeah, and I want to bring up a couple more names that I think could be value picks as we dig a little deeper into this. Not picks as in the draft, but value free agents. One of them is Will Compton, who had some good years when he was with the Skins. I think he could be a player. And then another one who's definitely not a complete linebacker, but we have had trouble with stopping the run, which is ironic. But Ragland, I think, is another guy who's a thumper. He's a bigger guy. He's not going to be – he's not going to be your cover guy, but he can definitely stop the run. I mean, I think that I would feel extremely confident on 1st and 2nd down if we know that we're playing against a running team. While he's limited in scope, he's not your all-around guy. You could get some value there, and he's definitely more than competent when it comes to playing in a run defense, playing against the run. He can definitely get the job done. So those are a couple other names that I thought of. They didn't make my list because in my projection, I want us to spend more money there than the other 2 positions.
Okay.
So anyway, those are some I had for inside linebacker as well as yourself. Geez, a whiz. All right. So let's get to offensive linemen. Now, I specifically said interior offensive linemen, and like a month ago, I brought up Joe Tooney.
Yeah.
But his projected value as well is going to be $11 million annually.
That's pricey.
So that about
do you have that in front of you, the projection annually of all the players? Like
no, it's not all of them. It's only some guys. Like
what about Brandon Scherf?
Yeah, hold on. Brandon.
Because
How do you spell Scherf? How do you spell the last name?
Scherff.
Okay, let's see here. What old Scherf comes up with.
Yeah, because I don't have that list you have.
Oh, but Brandon Scherf just got tagged.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, he got tagged. Dude, he's going to make $15 million.
What about Ronald Leary?
Give me the spelling. Do you know?
Leary.
Let's see. Mr. Leary. Leary?
Yes.
Okay, Ronald. He didn't show up on here.
That's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a couple names you got, and then I'll give you a couple other under the radar guys. So just really quickly before you do that, one of my scenarios would be we don't fill all of our needs, or we go steep bargain shopping if we think that Joe Thuney is worth the money. You know what I mean? You can kind of brush the other. You could bring back a Bynes. You could get a Reggie Ragland on really team friendly deals. You could get a Geronimo Allison, or maybe even a Dorsett as well. But 80% or whatever that number is would go into Thuney if we think that he is Marshall Yanda, right? Like, is he that guy? So anyway, I mean, it could be another scenario that could work out for us. But you got some other interior offensive lineman names?
Did Leary not come up?
He didn't. Nope.
Wow, that's surprising. Well, then that would be certainly one of them. Would be Ronald Leary. He's an offensive guard who can, he's 6'3", 320, so not a small guy.
Right.
A powerful guy. He was with the Broncos the last few seasons, but we saw him gain a lot of his respect, I guess, or fame when he was with the Dallas Cowboys a few seasons ago, when they had what most considered to be the best offensive line in football, and he was the left guard on that team. So a guy that can certainly run block, which is I think what you're looking for, is you want a powerful guy that can kind of help impose our will onto the defense. And I think Ronald Leary would, be a guy that's not going to be as expensive as the gentleman you mentioned, James Thuney, or Joe Thuney, I should say.
Joe, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be a guy I'm looking for. Now, center, we have one in-house with Skura. The question is going to be the medical. So I think we both agree that we could get him on a deal that would be pretty team-friendly. But the question and concern isn't has he recovered from the knee injury? Because I think that with modern medicine, he will recover. The question is, with rehab being his primary focus all season, how was he able to build any strength? How was he able to focus on increasing his, to making his body better when really his main focus has been strengthening and recovering that knee? So that's certainly a concern. Now, there's a guy named Graham Glasgow. Can you look him up? Glasgow.
Yep.
So Glasgow. He's 6'6", 310. He's a center. He's only 27 years of age. He's been with the Detroit Lions for the first 4 years of his career. Do you have a projection on him?
Glasgow, Glascow, right?
G-O-W.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Glasgow.
Okay, got it. Yeah, give me 1 second.
First name is Graham. So
let's see, Glasgow on here. He has a projection of no projection on here.
Which could be good. That could mean that it's going to be relatively cheap, but certainly be a size upgrade from what we've been seeing with Skura, and a guy who's started, he started 15 games in 16 and 17, 16 and 18, and 15 last year. So a guy that's got a ton of experience from the center position, which certainly doesn't hurt. And so that's the kind of the guys that I'm looking for. Is there anybody that I missed that you like?
Well, yeah. Now he is not young.
Okay.
He's 35 years old, but He
Go
was
ahead.
he was the center for Cam Newton,
Khalil?
Khalil, and I think that, if I'm not mistaken, we picked up Burke when he was a little older. Obviously, he wasn't 35, but he wasn't a spring chicken either. And I
Right.
think that experience was what helped him captain that offensive line when we made that run back in the day with, under Joe Flacco. And people to this day, even Marshall, still pays respect to Matt Burke. And so that is an option there. He was with the Jets. He's not with the Jets anymore. But another name who if I'm not mistaken, he played right tackle for us, but I think he also spent some time at guard, was just cut by the Lions. We talked about him before. Old Ricky Wagner could make his way back to Baltimore. In fact, it would be crazy if we saw Wagner and Kalechi both make their way back to Baltimore, right?
Yeah, man.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, so I wonder what Rick Wagner's – because he got paid when he went to Detroit.
Got paid. Yep.
He got paid. Go ahead.
The other name, no worries. The other name I wanted to unless you already mentioned, did you mention John Wetzel from Atlanta? I can't remember. You mentioned someone from Atlanta. No, he was the guard. John Wetzel is the center in Atlanta, and he's only 28 years old. It's only his fourth year. He's going into that deal, but he seems to be flying under the radar as far as interior offensive linemen go. And so I think that that's another option where, we can get a big boy, 28 years old in there who has been there, done that. I don't want the duct tape work anymore, man. I just don't, like I said before, I don't want to be sold on an undrafted guy. I know that might be biased, but I don't know. I don't want it.
No, I mean, I don't blame you there. I think you mentioned if you want to get a guy in the draft that you expect to be able to plug and play immediately, then you're going to have to spend high round draft capital. So if that's something that they're comfortable doing, then that's a route they can go. But I tend to agree with you. If you're gonna expect a guy that's drafted to start day one, I think you kind of got to spend one of your top picks on him and stop trying to, I think what Makari brought to us as an undrafted guy is about as high as you can expect one of those either late round or undrafted guys to be. And that's a guy that if you have to put him in, you hope that he's serviceable. And I think he was for a couple weeks. But when you get to the playoffs, obviously you're only playing good teams at that point. And player holes like that could be exposed. And I think it was against the Titans.
No, absolutely. So we've talked about wide receivers. And the one thing I will give you credit on is I think value-wise, I like Dorsett.
Yeah, because you don't have Hollywood, we hope, is all healthy. He's got the screws removed. He was able to stay healthy last year. Certainly helped himself by getting down and running away from every defender that was near him.
Right.
But if the worst case happens and he gets hurt, then what?
Now, the only caveat I give with Dorsett is, if I'm not mistaken, he played with Andrew Luck and then played with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And his numbers have never been – like, what is it that he's not doing that's not instilling confidence? Like, Tom didn't have confidence in him. Like, there was something not there, right? Like, he didn't even get the ball at time. Like, what's going on there that's creating that when you're playing with such good quarterbacks who usually do a pretty good job at getting their good receivers the ball? But like you said, I think pairing him up with Hollywood, with Lamar in our run game could be scary with the two of them on the outside. So that I think that was a good one. I'm gonna have to say, of all the picks with all the scenarios we went through today, that takes the cake for value pick. I'm conceding.
I like it.
I'm conceding.
This may be the first time
ever.
Wow. Mark it down, folks.
I'm just in a good mood because we got Calais Campbell again.
That's fair. So yeah, but that's it for Monday is coming up. We're only a little over 24 hours away from this stuff getting real interesting. So we wanted to get this video out on who we feel the Ravens could grab with the limited cap space that they do have. Even though it is a little more than what we're used to, it is still certainly not the highest in the league. So I hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we would greatly appreciate it. But I'm sure we'll be talking to you guys soon. Until then, take it easy.